Hello class, this is Professor Williams and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Chapter 2 in our book for Sociology 100. Chapter 2 talks a lot about culture. There's some important things you need to get from this chapter before you leave it. One thing you want to do is to understand what is culture, all right? All the different elements that go into building a culture. If you've done that already, then you already know that any group of people who gather together and begin to do things together will eventually form their own culture. Okay? You also need to understand the term ethnocentrism, and what that means. Now, this is critical because it has a lot to do with how the world operates and who thinks that they are better than whom. In ethnocentrism, it is the belief that your particular culture is the best one and the right one. And when you run into other cultures that are doing things differently, you judge them thinking that they are doing things wrong. Not that they're doing things differently, but rather they're doing it wrong because if they were doing it right, they would be doing it the same way you would be doing it. So therein, I think you can already see the difficulties that a system like that could bring, all right, and how people could cause a lot of conflict. Happens a lot throughout the entire world. It even causes wars. Okay. Next thing we want to talk about a little bit is culture shock. You've heard the term a lot, but what exactly does it mean? Okay. Could it mean that you leave your culture, you go into another culture, and what they are doing disorients you and makes you feel very different, very awkward about yourself because it is just so different from your own culture? Here's what will generally happen there. You will begin to look around for at least some things that are somewhat familiar with your culture and try to identify with those. And that too has its own term, by the way. Start to identify with those, like what kind of celebrations go on when a child is born, or when somebody dies, or when somebody gets married. You start to look at what kind of religions are practiced here and how do they go about showing that they're doing religion. And you'll compare that with your own religion. Okay. And so these are the things you want to walk away with Chapter 2. What is culture? How we determine what culture is better than others. And then also culture shock, those kinds of things. Have a firm grasp on that as we move forward. As you could see in a sociology class, how very important that would be. Finally, you're expected to have both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 completed for online. That means you've done all your red check marks and you've checked in with your discussion forum to see if anything was due there. If you're not finding that some of your essay questions are graded right away, that's because they're not graded automatically. That's a manual process. I need to go in and grade them, and I have a lot of students, over 100 actually, so it may take me a little while. Not too long, but it'll take me a little while to get there. Don't think you're not going to get your points. It's just going to take me a little bit while to get there. Okay, that's about it, and I will see you next time, probably next week.